layers upon layers upon layers upon layers. I don't know how deep the rabbit hole of Yakuza Like a Dragon goes, but every session, I mean, I am nearly 20 hours, if not more, into this game. I still feel I'm in the tutorial. Yeah, I'm 18 and a half hours in right now. And this game is like, but wait, did you not think that we would also put in an entire corporation to run? Because we did. We did. Oh boy, let's get into it. So it's day 3, 18 and a half hours in that we're up to here. It's still just 18 and a half hours of nothing but a smile on my face. I don't think I've seen such a combination in a while of people who have clearly already played the game and just cannot wait. And every time we hit a certain quest, side quest, whatever, people go, oh god, here we go. Oh my god. And even people suggesting I quit. I do want to talk a little bit about this comparison to Persona 5 because people are very confused, which is understandable, as to why I love this, didn't like that. Because that's people like, why can you love this, but you didn't like Persona 5? Okay. But we'll get there shortly. What did we do on day 3? What didn't we do? I think the summation of just what we did kind of comes down to the Persimmon tree. The Persimmon tree. What is the Persimmon tree? Some of the subquests that are going on right now are really lengthy and require like MSQ unlocks to even progress them further. Like our boy Kuroi, our homeless friend Kuroi, who has fallen madly in love with the soup kitchen lady on the street. And we are following along as a fly on the wall. We're not even really involved anymore whatsoever with his growth from homeless man to try and win over the love of his life and picking himself up, starting to work, starting to earn some money, buying some clothes, cleaning up a little bit. Hopefully he's going to get a home. I don't think we've had that yet. And how that's going. But it's taken a dark twist, and we're only getting sections of this as we progress the main story. And when it pops on the screen and I know where it is, I'm so excited. We just like take off. We're like, oh, Kuroi's back! You know, we just motor down there as fast as possible to find out what the next thing is. And you're just following along with the story. And right now we've got a weird situation where they're like going to the movies. But for some reason, our lovely lady, I can't remember her name right now, I think it's Sakagawa, maybe, something like that, has lost an eye or has had an injury to her eye. We don't know what's going on. She's wearing an eye patch and it's not been touched on yet. And I'm like, this is going to get really messed up. This story is clearly a lengthy one. But the Persimmon tree was a side quest I stumbled upon where there was a young girl in a wheelchair and she just went, whenever the last persimmon falls from that tree, that is the day I will die. And then she left. And that was it. That was the teaser. That was the precursor. That was it. And then nothing happened for ages. We were like, what is happening here? What is happening? But as we played more and more, this story started to unfold. And essentially what then played out was the most insane things happening to this tree with this persimmon on it. The only persimmon on the tree. And our mission to make sure that persimmon does not fall because this girl has said that she will die when this happens. So what happens to the tree? Well, when we go back one time, there's a sumo wrestler beating the crap out of the tree. And you're like, what are you doing? And he's like, well, my partner got injured, so the only way I could train for sumo is to just completely go to town on this tree. It's the best tree in all of Yokohama. And you're like, no, stop doing that. So obviously you beat the crap out of him, right? And then we come back later on, and there's a sniper. I'm not even joking. There is a sniper shooting at the persimmon. And then you go up there and like, what are you doing? And this guy is, people were describing him as a Westerbo. He's somebody who's mimicking more of the US, wants to be one of those kind of like foot soldiers and militia. And he's bought all the gear, and he's got a sniper BP gun with a scope, and he's trying to shoot that. So you beat the crap out of him, obviously. Then you come back later, and there is a kid placing a hex on a girl because or a quote-unquote girlfriend because she kissed another boy and he saw it at this spot. So now he's placing hexes by banging voodoo dolls into the tree. And you're like, how did they escalate from sumo? And they still did. in order to do this. And then you find out it's because he once dropped his eraser on the floor and she helped pick it up at the same time and their fingers touched. So basically they're married now. And like, that's how they word it. And you're like, oh my God, this guy. And now he's placing hexes. You talk him out of it, give him life advice, and that works out. And then the girl survives the surgery. Like, that is the storylines that we're progressing. That is so, so fun. Along with Nancy. Oh, Nancy. Nancy the crawfish that was just on the road, so he did the good thing of throwing Nancy back into the river, only to find out that Nancy is the most beloved pet of one of the local homeless people who has raised Nancy since she was just a minor crustacean and is devastated at the loss of Nancy. So then proceeds an entire side quest of finding Nancy, the crawfish, from the river, which was very annoying because Nancy was, as suspected, sneakily hidden. And then I started like looking forest for the trees, looking deeper into what the symbol was for Nancy. Find Nancy, only to find out that he's raised Nancy to eat Nancy because he's homeless, and I was totally okay with this. I was like, yeah, there's crawfish all over the place. Of course the homeless people are eating these, and I like shellfish. Let's do this. Let's do it. Like, and then people, and I've no doubt some of you are just so attached to Nancy. We must save Nancy, which was a huge quest. We had to go all over the city to get premium sushi in order to buy off the homeless guy not to eat Nancy. And the result of all these silly things that I'm telling you about now is new summons. You can summon Nancy. You can summon Nancy, and Nancy will arrive en masse with a bunch of crawfish and poison all the enemies. And the previous one, you can summon the sumo guy who will beat everybody up. Like, absolutely, everything ties together really nicely, which is pretty good. And a blast, just so fun. Just ridiculous fun the whole way. Like, there was a good portion of the day where I didn't even touch the MSQ for so long until essentially I'd run out of other things to do, including unlocking the Rent-A-Hero, which is basically the side objectives of the game. Everything in Yakuza 6 plays so well because it's really grounded. I know I'm using that word in an interesting way, given what you've just heard, but it's grounded, relatable RPG tropes. All of it. It's mission boards. It's treasure hunting. It's all the things that you've seen in a very normal RPG, and they even have the classic FF-style caricatures of the Yakuza characters on the loading screen, just masked in an absurd way, and that's what makes it so fun, because not only is this game completely over-the-top, wacky, and just batshit, but at the same time, it's all very relatable. Everything I'm doing totally makes sense. Our classes make sense. We've got tanks, melee DPS, we've got healers, we've got casters. We've got all those things that are very relatable, just wrapped in this package that makes it a completely fresh and wonderful experience along the way. Like, there are so many similarities here to Expedition 33 in a big, big way. Character building, gearing up, you know, making them into these, making builds. That all is here. It's all here, but it keeps unraveling more and more. We unlocked the job system. There's an entire job system where you can freely swap the jobs of all of your characters. So I've tried a few out to see how they work. So I changed Ichiban over to Breaker, which is a break dancer. The only problem I'm having here, and I'm wondering if there's a way of accelerating this later in the game, is you do have to level the jobs up in order to access their skills to kind of figure out whether you like the character or not. So when I swapped everybody over, not only did they have far considerably weaker weapons, which meant our damage went through the hole, but also they didn't have access to a lot of their skills that I had unlocked with their base jobs. And so that meant that I didn't have like a lot of my AoE spells, and I was just doing way less damage, and you kind of feel like, I kind of want to go back. But I'm going to give it some time to see what I prefer. So I changed Ichiban to a breaker. From he was hero, was the job he was playing was hero, but I kind of like hero. I might go back to that. I changed Adachi, who was detective as his base job, over to enforcer. So he's like a SWAT member now. He's got like a full SWAT garb and a riot shield and things like that. That's pretty good. I changed Namba over to, I think it's hitman or bodyguard. But now he's got like a katana and he does like bleed and melee, but he's more of a caster. So I might change him to more of a magic based thing. I don't know yet. And our new friend that I haven't mentioned yet, Psycho. Psycho is our latest party member. Psycho starts off as barmaid as her job. I've swapped her over to Idol because it sounded funny, where she's now like a pop idol. She has a microphone and she does things like lie on the floor as a damsel in distress, which lowers the attack of the enemies because they don't want to hurt a girl. And she can also like charm people and things like that, and she bonks them on the head with a microphone. So that's what I've done. But I've got a huge array of jobs to choose from already, and a lot more that will unlock. So I'm wondering how that's going to work later on. Or will the later jobs just start with like a higher base to have better skills? Can I insert personal skills? Things like that. So we've got all that system. So I should introduce you to Psycho for those of you who are following along with the story. What's happening? Well, when last we left, I believe we were essentially aiming to shut down the care home that was killing the elderly. And that was our objective, was a big dungeon, which was the Seiryu clan headquarters. Because as far as the Seiryu clan is concerned, the chairman of the clan wasn't aware that this is what was happening in one of their businesses, and Ichiban believed because it was a dishonorable business, he would be very upset, as did Tsutsui. I think he's called Tsutsui, who was running the care home business, didn't want his chairman to find out either. So that's our objective, is to break it at headquarters. So it's a big dungeon that we're doing. In we go to deal with this situation. So we work our way through and kill some bosses and end up at the chairman thing, which does not go exactly as planned, kind of. The chairman stops Tsutsui from cutting off his finger for being dishonorable, but then says, I'm not exactly against this idea. Some people need to be hurt in order to move society forward. And you're like, that's not what we were hoping for here. From what I could tell, though, this actually turns out to be somewhat of a ruse, because they take Tsutsui away. They stop and cut off his finger, but they say they're banishing him from the Seiryu clan. And then the very next scene was very interesting, is when you meet Nonihama, who is the lady whose father is in there. The captain of the Seiryu clan asks you to come with him, and what plays out there is a scene where they fully refund her. They take care of her father until she can find other things. They tell her he doesn't need surgery. There was a bit of a mislead here where Tsutsui was claiming that, no, actually the families are asking us to kill their... it's euthanasia, right? It's passionate euthanasia. And then you find out that's not the case at all, is that she was told he needed like a dramatic surgery, and you're like, okay, so he was lying again, and lied to his chairman, which seems to have been something the chairman knew. So there's like layers of the story going on here, which is pretty cool. And they're going to make it right. And you're like, okay. Then we find out in a really dark twist that... I forget his name. It might be it's Noniyama, I think, who was running the brothel. Yeah, he was running the brothel, the big brothel, has been hung. And you're like, oh God, he's dead. We end up at the funeral and things like that, which was really sort of a dark thing, where we're introduced to Psycho at the funeral. Psycho, it's actually Saiko, but it's clearly supposed to be Psycho, and she has been so cleverly modeled that she has absolute psycho eyes. She looks crazy. Who is the twin sister of the lady whose father was in the care home. The twin sister. And you're like, because you're like, wait, I know you. And they're like, no, I am the twin sister. Oh, what's going on here? And she's going to be our new party member. She's joined us. She was a barmaid at a different business of Noniyama's, and she had a voice recording of what happened that night, where they're like, why would he commit suicide? That doesn't make sense. She's like, he didn't commit suicide. And you hear that it's actually some voices coming over the phone that sound and reference the Chinese mafia, the Lumeng, I think they're called. One of the big three that's existing in this town. And you're like, wait a minute, now we need to Ichiban style bring down the Chinese mafia. That's what we're gonna do next. We're like, yeah, let's get to it, baby. It's really cool though, because I'm not sure where this is going, if there'll be a romance. I kind of hope there's not, because there's a very good platonic friendship building between Psycho and the fellas that's happening here as we go down, and we find the armpit licker. Yeah, we've got armpit licking. Poor Sphene. We have to break into this Chinese sort of gentleman's club with hostesses, the ladies that look after them. And we have to do this roundabout system of getting in there, where ultimately Psycho ends up being placed with Zeng. Zeng was the guy who was actually shaking down the homeless camp back way earlier in the game, like 18 hours ago. And she runs out. She's got like her top ripped, and she's holding her bra. Like half of her dress at the top has been ripped, so it's not like her boobs out, but she's got a bra there, and the dress has been pulled down. And you're like, oh no, he's been trying to grab her boobs, right? And she's like, no, this guy was trying to lick my armpits. And you're like, and after a fight there, we're trying to find, I think it's Mabushi, who's the head of the Lumeng guys. But he like keeps himself in secret. No one knows where he is. And this whole thing plays out with like, well, we know one of his businesses. This is one of his primary businesses, this trade company that is providing all the expensive ingredients for the Chinese restaurants in the city. And they're selling well below market price, but still growing and making a profit. So back to the job center. We're going to go and work there. And it's kind of fun. We're working there. We become laborers. Immediately Psycho, because she's a woman. He just goes, can you read? Yeah. Can you add? Yeah. Secretary, go. And she's in charge of all the money. And that's where we're up to, is we know something sus is going on. They're all paying in cash. And we're like, that's kind of where the story's at now. But we want to deal with this situation as to why they seemingly, as far as we know, killed him. I actually don't think they did. I think it's got something to do with Bleach Japan. There's some... at this point, I think the guy who works at the job center, OK Work, is actually behind everything. I think he's the puppeteer of this entire city. Because, like, everything feels like we're just being... We're like rabid dogs that are just being set loose on things that aren't actually a problem, right? That's what it feels like to me. So I think we're going to get I think it's got to come round in a big circle some way. I really do get the feel of, if anybody ever see Unleashed with Jet Li, good movie, very good action movie from back in the day. It feels like that, and Ichiban is just getting his collar let off and just set on targets, even though he's not really understanding why, but his honor and code is so basic and simple and childlike that he will just run headfirst into it, right, every single time. That's what it feels like to me is going on. Along with this, we did a lot of like story stuff, catch up with each of the individuals, which progresses those characters. And I think we were told it unlocks various stories, and we did some cans and things like that. The main thing that we discovered that I'm really interested in is another lady shows up. I can't remember her name right now. I think it's Eri. Might have been Eri, who runs Ichiban Confections, which is no direct relation to our Ichiban, but it's a business that she inherited from her grandfather and her father, and in 3 years, she's completely run it down. It sells rice cakes or something, and she's ruined this business, and Noniyama, who's hung himself, was going to take over because he was a good businessman, but obviously he's dead now. And so we're going to take over this confectionery corporation. We are promoted to CEO in the room. I understand why her business failed. Bad decision making. And I think this is an entire side game, again, of running a business now. I still can't understand why we haven't taken over the brothel, because we're in a cheap, dirty brothel near the river. But now we've got this building and big brothel that nobody seems to be doing anything with, and I feel like we should be taking this over and like promoting ourselves, because we still live in, from what I can tell at this point, all 4 of us, including Psycho, are sleeping in the dirty, damp soaked mattresses of this brothel most nights. All in one room. I feel like that's what's going on. And I feel like there's still house decoration to come. Because although I have been able to buy like used TVs and things like that, that has been for these like side objectives for the Rent-A-Hero thing, and collecting bugs. It still feels like you probably get to decorate at some point and build your own apartment or something for the squad, for the Hobo Rangers, which is what we've called ourselves, the Hobo Rangers. But I feel like at this point we all live in this one place, and it's just disgusting and gross. But I can't wait to see what comes next. That's where we're up to. I hope you kept up with all that, because I had to talk at rapid speed to even keep this video somewhat reasonable in length. But the cool stuff is you pull out game mechanics-wise. We've got multiple jobs to play with, skills to unlock, tracks to unlock, objectives to complete, collectibles, rewards, summons, everything you would expect from a classic RPG. All here, and all in just a wonderful package. Like, I don't know if we're here for the next 80 hours. I have no idea, but we're going to find out. And of course, I will sign off with the now salute of the live audience. When's cans? Because they like their cans. See you tomorrow.